Let's see. So today we want to get that information from our folder. What are we supposed to do? We're supposed to move to the data section, and then we get data. So in this option, or at that point where you want to extract this data, we have now the from file. From file, and at that point we have these options here. So if you move now to the second last, you'll be able to see you want to import this data from a folder, not one file, but want to get now 2 different files from a folder, or even 3. So you now say from folder, you pick it now from folder. That's what we now want to do. We now give it time. We now give it time to direct us to the folders that are available. So in the folder section, where did you save your document? Did you save it in the desktop, or in the documents part, or downloads? So for my case, I know specifically where I saved my file. So I will simply go to that specific space where I saved my file. So I will look for that. Since I've known very well the name of my folder is this one here, I will say open to get my folder extracted to now the Power Query. So as you can see, I've been able to extract my data from the folder. I've picked the entire folder. So these are the content of my folder. I have cells 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020. That's what I have as the extraction of my information. So if there's someone who has been able to get that information from the folder, if there's someone who has been able to extract the information which I'm displaying there from their folder, okay, so the next step, yes, we are all there. Okay, that's good. So the next step is to now combine. We want to combine that information. So if you check there at the point of combine, we have these options. We can combine and transform data, of which transformation is editing. We can combine and load. Once you combine them, you automatically load it. And then we have the last one, that is combine and load, to either to publish it or even get now the final output. So we want to now combine this and transform the data. We want to combine them and transform this data. There are some little changes that we want to make to this information. So what are we going to do? What are we going to do? So I will say combine and transform data. I will say combine and transform data. So just give it time. I just give it time extract my information. Now allow me start making changes to my data. I've combined it. So is there someone who has reached this specific point? Is there someone who has reached this specific point? Anybody who has reached this specific point? Mine is different from yours. Mine is different. Which part is different from mine? Mine is different. At what point? After transforming, what do you have after transformation? What do you have as after transformation? What do you have after transformation? It has query settings, no queries and connection. Okay. So I think whatever you are referring to is what I have here, this part. I think what you are talking about is what I'm displaying on my screen. Is it? No, somebody is saying no. Okay. No. Did you follow the procedure which I said? Did you follow the procedure which I said? Yes. So if you check this other side, are you able to see where we have cells? Are you able to see where we have cells and the number of rows loaded? Yes. Are you able to see? We are not yet there. Okay. So let me give you some 1 minute or two to ensure that yours is loading to reach this specific point where you have this information on the queries and connections. Yes, that simple step. You just go to data, get data, you go to file, then there's option of folder. You pick the folder where you stored those documents, and then you say load and transform. I think that's where we are. So have we now done that? 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 Let me see. I'm at the Power Query editor. Okay, so I can see people have different things. I can see people have different things. So Can we extract that data from the file the way I did? Have you been able to extract it from the file? And then you come to the part where you are picking the folder, not the specific files, but the entire folder. You pick the entire folder. You pick the entire folder to upload all those documents. It will be creating connections. Having created connections, you'll be able to see it transforming, showing you all those information there. You'll be able to see it showing you the information which we have there. Are we now ready? Are we now ready to proceed? Are we now ready to proceed? Allow us to share screen. Okay, but I want to see those who are confirming that up to that point, they are now able to see something. I want to see those who are confirming that they are now able to see something. Let me see where the problem is. Seems we are all getting the same thing. Okay, so this is what you are going to do. This is what you are going to do. So this is what we are going to do. Do we have the 2017 data here? This is for 2017. This file is for 2017. I have it indicated here. I have it here. So we want to now transform it to a table. We want to transform it to a table. And how are we going to do that? So this is the first one. We are going to have the second one here, the third one, the fourth one. So this one here, we will give it a name. So let's call this one here 2017. We have our 2018. We have our 2019. We have our 2020. So in exams we'll be given just a single folder with different worksheets. So this 2017, let's get for 2018 from the other worksheet. Just go to 2018 worksheet, you copy all of it, then you paste. You paste your 20 here. So you paste it there. That's what we have. You look for 2019. Somebody has a question. What names do we give them? I think I've indicated the names here. We are only indicating the year 2017, 2018, 2019. We are still transferring the data first, and then we are going to give now those tables names. We are going to give those tables names. You just copy them, then I'm going to show you what you are going to do. I'm going to show you what you are going to do with that information to create tables in one step. So bring your 2019 information, 2019 information to the worksheet for 2017. Here, so we have it here in that get your 2020 information, get your 2020 information, bring it to that worksheet there. So this single worksheet, this single file here has got 4 different worksheets. The first one is for 2017. The first one is for 2017. 2018, 2019, and 2020. So are we now together? Are we now together? Okay, so we want now see what we are going to do with this information. First of all, remember, you must confirm that this information has got the same order. They have the same pattern. They have the same pattern. That is, we have the first item that appears here is the number of columns. First of all is A. So we start with order ID, custom ID, salesperson, order date, ship date, order priority, SKU code, order quantity. That's what we have there. And then for 2018, I think we have the same pattern. It stops at column L. That's where we are. For 2018, we have the same, 2019, the same, 2020, the same. So if you want to expand the entire worksheet, just place your cursor there to double click. For 2018, place it here, double click to expand it. 2019, highlight all of it, you expand, and 2020, highlight all of it, and you expand. So you'll now be able to see, what we have. So we've now confirmed that the titles are the same all through. We've now confirmed that the titles are the same all through. So if this information, the way it appears here, could have been loaded to Power BI, as you can recall in our last class, we were able to modify this. We were able to modify this information to now have the first row here to be our title. So what we are going to do, come to this first worksheet here, right click, and you say select all sheets. Select all sheets. And since they have the same pattern, the same order, I will come here. I want that to be order ID. I want that to be order ID. Then I come here, customer ID. By just doing that, remember, I'm doing all this to all the worksheets across. So we have salesperson. Then we have order date. We have ship date. Please pardon. What are you really not getting? I've said you come to the first worksheet here, right click, and the last option is select all sheets. Select all sheets. So having picked that option of selecting all sheets, you now come and do these adjustments. You come and do these adjustments which we are doing here. So we have that code, we have order, quantity, we have unit, selling price, we have discount. You can just indicate it as a percentage there. We have shipping amount. And then we have shipping mode container. We have shipping mode container. So having done that, how do you change from a table to normal sheet? Are you trying to say that you already have the table for all this information? Do you have the table for all this information? These four. Okay, if you have a table, that's the next step we are going to. How do you select all sheets? How do you select all sheets? You come to this, any of the worksheets, any of them, right click, and then you'll have this option. The last option here is select all sheets. So having selected all sheets, anything you do in one of those sheets will be duplicated across all the worksheets which you have there. I have a table for 2017, so it has refused to make changes. Okay, so maybe you have to create a new. I have selected, repeat the naming. Which naming are you referring to? Which naming are you referring to? Titles. Titles are this. Whatever we have in row number 2 should be part of what we have in row number 1. So if here we have order, it should be order ID. We want to do away with row number 2. We want to do away with row number 2. We want to do away with row number 2. That's what we are trying to do here. There's one cell that has hashtag. What could be the issue? Is it in your table or just in this normal data before you insert the table? Is it in this normal data or after you've inserted a table? After copying. After copying, you are copying and pasting the way it is. Remember, they don't have any formula. Hashtags. Let me see. Let me see my 2020. I can see the values are just okay. Which part do you have the errors? Unless you copied a different thing. You can see what I have here. Row number 11. Okay, let me check. Row number 11 is here, has got all the information. Row number 11 has got all the information, unless you did something else. We said you come to your worksheet for 2020. Oh, the space is small. The space is small, that cannot accommodate the entire item. But I think we eliminated that by doing this. We highlighted this and then we double tab either of these lines that separates the column to expand them so that you are able to read everything. But if I don't do that, you will see this one here not appearing in full. So I was eliminating that by highlighting this, and then you double click any of the parts. So it means you skip this step. But anyway, that's good. So you've now identified that. So having copied all those names, having copied all these names, we want to do away with row number 2. But now doing the same thing 4 times is going to take us a lot of time. Do the same thing to any of the worksheets, So the name there, you place your cursor at the name, right click, we have select all sheets, and then you come and highlight that row number 2, control minus. Row number 2, control minus. By doing that, you've eliminated that row number 2 in all of these worksheets. It will not appear there again. So that's what you are supposed to do. And then we now save this worksheet with all of the 4 items. So just save it with a name which you will easily remember. So let me save it and place it somewhere where I cannot or I will not forget. So let me save it there. Okay, so having saved it, the name has already changed. So I want to now come up with tables. Select all sheets. So place my cursor there and highlight the entire data range. Then I say Control T. Control T to insert a table. So inserting a table is not allowed in when you now combine all the worksheets or more than one worksheet. So we have to do it for one. We want to do it one at a time. So let's pick the first one there. Then you say Control T to insert a table, and you say it has got headers or titles. So I've inserted a table there. Come to the second one for 2018. Highlight all of it. Control T, a table. Go to 2019. Do the same. Control T, a table. Go to 2020. Control T to get my table. So having done that, kindly Mwalimu repeat step 2. Which step 2? Is it about converting them into tables or removing row number 2? Is it about converting them into tables or removing row number 2? Removing row number 2. Removing row number 2, this is what I said. Removing row number 2, this is what I said. This is that unwanted row number 2. This is what I said about row number 2. So if we have row number 2 here, which we don't need, and remember it was common to all of my worksheets. That is for 2020, 2019, 2018. So I just come to any of the worksheets here, right click and say select all. And then I come to this part, control minus, or I just highlight that row and come to delete section here. The moment I do that, it will eliminate that row in all the worksheets. That's how you are removing the unwanted row. Having eliminated that unwanted row, this is what you are now bringing in the tables. You are inserting the tables. So you just highlight the entire data range, then you say Control T to get your table inserted in all of them. That is step number 1, or the next step which you're supposed to do. So having done that, we are now moving to giving these tables names. We want to be sure of the name of these tables, whereby if we are now going to do the combination, we are going to pick the specific name of the tables which we need. Maybe you want to only combine 2017, 18, 19, and not 2020. So we are able to identify the name of the tables, and therefore here, yes, I can see somebody is really following and went through the previous video. So I just place my cursor in any part of that table, go to table design. I will be able to see the name of the table here. I'll be able to see the name of the table there. So I can call this maybe 2017 sales. 2017 sales. So when defining the name of the table, you are not supposed to leave a space. The only thing you can use is a slash to separate these names here. The only thing you can use, sorry, not a slash, the reverse one, this one here. 2017 sales. So that's what you use. Am I leaving a space? So let's have it this way, 2017 sales. So that's what we have. There's a problem with my information. Has the name been used somewhere? Oh, so I've seen where my problem is. We have to start with a letter, that is sales. Is when now we bring this 2017. That is what mine is also refusing that way. So there is this underscore on top of minus. Are you able to see underscore there? Are you able to see underscore there? We are not using minus, we are using underscore. On top of minus, there is that, it is the same as subtraction sign, but it is longer than subtraction sign. So that's what we are going to use, the underscore. So there should be no space between the names. You must start with a letter, not a number. So that's what we do. That's what we do. So you can just copy that. Copy it. Then now you come to 2018. You go to table design. You will see the name of the table here. And then you change that 17 to 18. Come to 2019. The name of the table is there. Change 7 to 9. And then the last one, you come to this part here. Change that to 2020. So have we all done that? Are we now having our tables with specific names? 2017 or sales 2017, sales 2018, sales 2019, and sales 2020. Repeat. You come to this part here. The name must start with a letter, not a number. 2, there should be no space between those numbers or those items which you are writing there. So instead of putting a space, you put underscore. You put underscore. Where do we get that underscore? On top of subtraction sign in your keyboard, you'll be able to see something resembling the subtraction sign, but it is longer than the minus sign. So that is the underscore we are using here. That is the underscore we are using here. And remember I've said, we can use either this sign here or that underscore. So whichever item you feel like you want to put there, you can put either underscore or the reverse slash. That slash which I've just indicated there, the two will apply. So let me see those who have given these tables names. Let me see those who are now at the same point with me. Let me see those who are now at the same point with me. Okay. Yes, Rehema. I can see you've raised your hand. There's only 10 people have been able to do that out of 60. Out of 60, only 10 have been able to do that. Okay, I think that's good. Okay, so the next step is a repetition of what we did in our previous class. That is, we want to now combine these tables to form one table. We want to combine these tables to form one table. We want to combine these tables to form one table. We want to combine these tables to form one table. So can I allow you to do it on your own, since it is a repetition of what we did the other day? Maybe I give you 2 minutes, you do it. Then the next thing we are going to see is that everyone has got now a combined table. Is that going to be okay with you? Is that going to be okay with you? No. So it means you are not making use of the videos, yet I provide them every day. Connecting tables. Yes, we want to combine the tables. How do we combine our tables? We are now going to the Power Query. So I want you to give me the steps. Not okay with me, kindly show how to combine the tables. I want you to give me the steps if you are really following what we did. So what is our first step to combine these tables? What is the first step? Okay, I'm being told you go to data and get data. So we move to data and then we go to the option of get data. What next? What next? Okay, I believe you are following. After going to the option of get data, since our information is in Excel, we go to the option of from file and we'll be able to see the list there. From file and we'll be able to see the list there. So what do? We now pick the Excel part. Okay. What is our next step? Is now to pick that specific file. What was the name of the file? I think you can recall the name which you used for your file. So for my case, this is my file. And then I say import. Okay. I believe you are following. So you let it connect. We are now creating connections. Okay, we've now been taken to now the part of the Power Query. At this point, what are we supposed to do? At this point, what are we supposed to do? At this point, what are we supposed to do? Yes, at this point, what are we supposed to do? we now move to select multiple because we have more than one table which we are going to use. So we now ensure that all of them are marked. We ensure that all of them are marked. We are creating connections between these tables. We are creating connections between these tables. So having done that, what are we supposed to do? Keeping in mind that we don't need to do any adjustment. We don't need to add any column. So what are we supposed to do directly? We are supposed to load our data. So let's load it. I remember it was combine queries, then append, ama hiyo nyingine, because it was combine more than two tables. So it means you skipped this step. You skipped this step. This is the first step, and now the second step is what you are now referring to. The second step is now what you are referring to. Okay, so I believe yours is also loading from your side. Yours is also loading from your side. So how many queries have we created? We are being informed that we created 4 queries. We created 4 queries. So allow it to load our information. Let it load. Let it load. So for 2017, we have 2153 rows. 2018, we have 2142. 2019, we have 2004, and 2020, we have 2100. Yes. Okay. So is there someone who is having, are we loading or transforming? We are loading. We are loading. We don't want to change anything. We are loading it the way it is. So are we having all this? Are we picking all files, including the new ones? No. We are only picking our new file, which we renamed, that has got these 4 tables. What was the name? For my case, mine was sales report, and that's why I picked it from my folder. Mine is bringing both the tables and the Excel sheets. Okay, but do you have this number of rows loaded? 2017, 2153, 2018, 2019, and 2021. Okay, so having done that, we've now created connections. What is our next step? To ensure that they now form one complete table. What is our next step? For those who are following the video, what is our next step? Our next step is we now go to, okay, our next step is to merge them. That's what we want to do. We want to combine these tables. But for us to combine these tables, there's a step. So what is that step? Assuming that that's what we are displaying, all of us. So we now move to, we go to data. Okay, we are at this point of data. We go to get data, and then I believe we are all moving together with the steps that your colleagues are giving out here. So we now go to combine queries. We now want to go to combine queries. So this merge option, the reason why we are not using it is this. If our tables were having, remember when we were doing VLOOKUP, whereby one table has got an identity key, but the other informations are different from this table. So if we have maybe around 6 or 7 tables and all of them have got an identity key, which you can use to trace all this information, and you want to combine all those tables with different information to have one combined table, then we now come to the merge. We come to merge. But append, we are joining these two tables with same number of, with same titles. These ones here, for the merge option, they are not having same titles. They have different titles. They only share one thing in common. For example, I have a table whereby I have employee name, employee ID, mobile number, and then in another worksheet, I have employee name, units sold. In another worksheet, I have now units sold, and then maybe the region or the manufacturer. So you can combine these three tables with different information to have one. That's when we now use merge option. But append, they must have the same titles. So we now move to the append option. We lost after we named the sheets. Where do you get data now that we are still using the same Excel sheet? Don't worry about that. How do we get the information which you are using here? You move to data, this key up here of data, and then you go to get data. You pick that entire file. You pick that entire file. Then you load it. Having loaded it, you allow it to load all the rows in each table. Again, you move to the same step, data, get data, and this time we go to other queries or combined queries, and then you move to the append. So that's the part I was explaining, and now we are all at this point. So how many tables do we have? How many tables do we have? How many tables do we have for this? Remember the years, we wanted to combine cells for 2017, 18, 19, and 20. So how many tables did you create? How many tables did you create? We created 4 tables. And since the first option is only going to allow us combine 2 tables, we go to 3 or more tables. We go to 3 or more tables, and we'll be able to see the total number of available tables. Even if we add 50 tables, they could have been listed here. And now we've been able to see that we only have 4 tables. We want to put them in any order that you prefer, but let's put them in the order in which they appear here. So we are going to hold Control to click the first year, the second, the third, and the fourth. Then you say add. You click the add button. Or this is what you can do. You double tab that year to add it to the other side. That's what you can do. What if you've mistakenly brought in 1 year here, which you did not want to combine? Just click it and you'll be able to see the option of remove. If you don't want that one to appear there, if you want to alter the order, you now use these keys to move it up or down. So let's now bring our 2017, and you can see where it is appearing. So we want to put them in the order of those years. We want to start with 2017. So we move it at the topmost part. We bring 2018, and then 2019, 2020. So have we now added the tables that you want to combine? Have we added all the tables that you want to combine to this area? You now say okay. You now say okay. So let's give it time to extract that. Let's give it time to extract that. And as you can see, the steps which we've taken are going to be shown here, the same as what you are seeing in your R programming. Every step you take will be reflected in this section here. So this is what we have. This is what we have. We've now merged all those tables. We've now merged all those tables. So our tables have been merged here. Our tables have been merged in this section. Our tables have been merged in that section. So as you can see the titles here, the first part here, it is indicating numbers. So this is what we have. The next one, we have text. This one here is text. This one here is date. Of course, it is showing us there the option of date. Order, also text. SKU code, that's text. Order quantity, unit selling price, discount. You are able to see all of them there. You are able to see all of them there. So that's what we have. That's what we have. Okay, somebody is even telling us the next step that we are supposed to follow. So what are we supposed to do in our next step? What is our next step? So we want now close and load. I have null. If you have null, then number one, there's a problem with your titles. They are not similar all through. There's a problem with your titles. So if maybe we check here, let's see the dates. It's now loading. Load more to see the entire dates there. So that is what can be. My Excel does not give me an option to select each. It just picks one at a time. Okay, if it picks one at a time, still no problem. But there's an option. There's an option of picking all of them. There's an option of picking all of them. We'll see what to do about that. So have we now combined all the tables? Have we now combined all the tables? And our next step is just to get the final table. Have we combined all the tables? Have we combined all the tables? Have we combined all the tables? So if you've done that, if you've combined all the tables, we want to now take it back to be our new table, which has got all the information in the 4 different tables which we add the other side. So what are we going to do? What are we going to do? We now come to this section of close and load, and we pick the second one, which will give us the option of selecting where we want to place that table. So we go to close and load to a preferred place. So that one will bring us to this. It will bring us to this part here. Rosemary, I think I've just explained that my computer does not have an option of get data. If you don't have an option of get data, there is that part of queries, and then new queries. You get data from the option of new queries. Is it? Do you have that option of new queries, something of that kind? Do you have the option of new queries or queries? Then you have create new connections. Then you have the option of now selecting the file to proceed up to where we are. You have that in your computer. Yes, that's where you're supposed to get it from. Okay, so at this point here, we are going to use this data for several analyses, and we don't want to get it direct to a pivot table. We don't want to take it directly to a pivot table. We want to bring in some adjustments. We want to bring in some adjustments. So we are going to take it to table, the normal table, not pivot table report, not pivot chart. So we now bring that table and say, we take it to a new worksheet. We take it to a new worksheet. And then you say, okay. Take it to a new worksheet and then you say, okay. So the total number of rows which we've now created for this, our new or merged table is 8399. Is 8399. So my question is, do we all have 8399? Do we all have 8399? Do we all have 8399? How do you import? How do you import? Import, that is to combine the other tables or now to extract the final. If I have 8559, okay. I have 8372, I close and load, and it brings same table as yours. Okay, that's good. 8399, yes, I can see somebody's having 8399. Any other person who has got the same? Confirm if you have the same. $83.99. So we've now created that merged table. We've now created that merged table, and we now want to get some adjustments. We want to now do some adjustments, just a few adjustments here and there in this table. But in our next class, I will show you how to do those adjustments inside the Power Query. Once you extract your data here, you simply do your analysis. You simply do your analysis. So with this new table which we have created, remember, we can now give it a name, maybe summarized or final table. So we have the name final table or final report. Let's call it final report. So in this final report, we are going to add some features which were not there in our individual tables. Which are these final features? We have here order quantity, and then we have unit selling price. We have order quantity and unit selling price. So we don't have total sales. Then we have shipping amount, which is an expense. So we want to get the net amount. We want to get the net amount which these people are going to get. So let's have our total revenue. And then we have discount. So having gotten unit sales here, we can get our total revenue. So we create a column there and call it, let's call it revenue or sales. Let's call it sales. So how do we get sales? It is units times quantity. It is units multiplied by quantity. The moment you enter, it will do that to all the rows. You don't need to drag. So you are now able to see the benefit of having a table. Just create the formula in the first part and then it adjusts it all through to the entire data. So we are through with creating the cells. We now want to get discount. We want to now get discount. So let's create a column for discount. Let's create a column for discount. How do we get the actual discount? Not as a percentage, but now maybe let's put it in shillings. Let's have our discount in shillings. The other one is percentage. So discount is given on the total sales. So we are going to say is equal to total sales, we multiply by percentage of discount. Then you enter. All that has been adjusted down there. So this one here, we call it gross. Let's call it gross. Let's call it gross sales. Let's call it gross sales. And then we have now, we want to create net sales. And my question is, so we want to have our net sales here. We want to have our net sales here. Net sales, the amount that these customers are going to pay to the company. And my question is, in this information that we are going to have here, I want us to agree to have a common thing. This shipping amount, is it going to be paid by the company or by the person who is going to buy these goods? Is it going to be paid by the company or the customer? It's going to be paid by the buyer. Okay. So the total amount which we are supposed to receive from them, repeat discount. Discount, we have the percentage discount, which is discount on the total goods that were bought by this customer. So it is automatically the percentage of discount multiplied by gross sales. As simple as that. Okay, so if it's going to be paid by the customer, if it's going to be paid by the customer, so this is the gross sales, which we expected, but we are giving them a discount. Having given them a discount, which we have it here, our gross sales is going to reduce and we need to get net sales. So I want us to have a common thing. Let's say that shipping amount just remains unchanged. So we are going to say our net sales will be gross minus discount. Our net sales will be gross minus discount. And then you enter. So we have now been able to have our net sales, we have gross sales, we have order quantity, that is now the units. We have unit selling price, gross sales. So that's what we have added to our table. That's what we have added to our table. So having added those items, you just save. Having added those items, we save it. We save our information. So we want to do some analysis. Which is a common thing which will be asked in your exams. We now want to apply some Excel knowledge now. Having modified this data, the examiner will come and tell you to identify the salesperson that this company has. The specific salespersons that they have the specific customers that they have. We want to extract that. We want to extract that. So what are we going to do? First of all, we can do it in a pivot table. So we want to create a pivot table. We want to create a pivot table, and before we create that pivot table for analysis, this is what we are going to do. We want to move this final report to be after 2020. 2020 should not appear there. So what you are going to do, you place your cursor at the name, right click, and you say you want to move this worksheet, moving it to what point? To the end, and then you say okay. So we've now changed the positions of those worksheets, and our final worksheet or final report is now at the end point. And as you can see, the name of this table is called Appendix 1. We can call it merge data, combine data, or database. Let's call it database. Let's call it database for this company. So we now want to create pivot table to come up with some analysis. So this is what we are going to do. Highlight all of it in that manner. And then you say insert. What do we want to insert? Pivot table. Pivot table. So the moment you speak that, it will give you the name of the table or the range. You take it to a new worksheet and then you say okay. You take it to a new worksheet and then you say okay. So the first question in exams. Give us the total units based on sales representatives or sales persons. You want to see the total sales based on sales persons. So we now look for the salesperson. We now look for the salesperson to appear in the row, and then we look for our units. Remember, we want to look for the units, so that is order quantity. That is order quantity. So those are some of the analysis that you'll be doing. Those are some of the analysis that you'll be doing. You can even go ahead to have maybe the charts for this information which is here. You can do any other thing with this data which we have here. So the company has got only 3 salespersons who are making these sales. So when you want to now do your analysis based on the salesperson or sales representatives, this is what they did. This is what they managed to sell for this in terms of quantity. What about revenue now? Because somebody might be having high quantity than the other, but then there are those products of low revenue. So let's now bring in and see what happens with now net sales. So if you bring in net sales, that is what we are now getting. If you bring in net sales, that is what we are now getting. That is what we are now getting. So for the sales, you can see what each of them managed to sell. Maybe somebody has a problem of interpreting these tables. They want to see them in a graph. They want to see pictorial representation of this. So what do they do? What are we going to do to see the pictorial representation of this? So let's see. as you can see here, as you can see what we have. So we want to now come up maybe with a chart. We want to come up with a chart. So just come to your final report here, still highlighted. Go to insert. So we want to insert pivot tables and charts. So we come to pivot charts here. We pick pivot charts and pivot table. Of course, new worksheets. These are some of the things that will now be requested to do by your examiner. Maybe get us total sales based on customer ID. We want to see the customers that we have as a company. So the customers, this is the list of the customers. I think it is very long. That is the list of our customers. And then we want to see the total sales. The total sales. Maybe in terms of quantity, we want to give them quantity discount. So we are looking at the order quantity. We are looking at the order quantity. As you can see, it is not something that you can easily interpret and even make sense out of it for the graph here. So what you do, you can now classify these customers to depend on sales representative. That is, you come here and look for the salespersons here. Salespersons, we brought them there, and then you drag it to be at the top of customers. You drag it to be at the top of the customers. So as you can see, this is what we have for this sales representative or salespersons. So we now have a graph. Which we can use to compare. We now have a graph which you can use to compare the sales based on the salespersons. There's another feature down here. We don't want to compare it now with salespersons, but you want to see now the specific items, the specific goods. So the specific goods are, okay, this one here, let's look at ship model container, maybe based on this, the mode of transportation. The mode of transportation. So when you look at the mode of transportation, these are the models and then the quantity that each carried. So we know very well that when you now want to put them based on capacity, if you want to now base them or select these based on capacity, we'll say that this one here carried more goods than any other. This one here carried more goods than any other ship, as you can see. So those are some of the analysis which maybe you will be required to do. That is in terms of quantity. How about revenue? In terms of revenue, which one gave us the highest revenue? As you can see what we have there. So let's say we have it this way. We reduce it to 0 decimal places, something of that kind. This pivot table is making your work to be very easy. So you can see the analysis which is needed. You can see the analysis which is needed, of which we can change the type of the chart. We can bring in a slicer, things of that kind. Just come to this section of insert, we bring in a slicer. You want to do it based on, let's pick it salesperson. Let's pick this. We have our slicer here. We now want to compare them based on the shipping company. So you can see, you can now all change this and see. When you look at this other person, this is what he managed to do with these other companies, and you are able to see those figures there. About this is what he was able to do in terms of quantity, in terms of value, or in terms of, or in shillings. So this is the quantity, this is the amount. You can bring in, you can compare them one by one. We can change the type of the chart. So just come here, go to design, then we change chart type. Maybe you want to look at this. Maybe you want to look at this chart type. That's what we have there. We want to look at this. We want to look at maybe the one that's showing us the area. We want to look at this. We want to look at pie chart. Those are now the types of data analysis. So if you want to look at, let's say, the line, let's say you want to look at the one for line or even combined. So for line, that's what you have. For line, that's what you have. Let's allow it to change. So that's what we have for such analysis. Compare them based on such. So these are some of the things that somebody can now physically see and say, okay, because they don't understand the figures perspective, this is what they are able to do. This is what they are able to do. That one is pivot, which is making everything to be automated. That is pivot, which is making everything to be automated. In exams, of course, they will give you something about pivot tables. I doubt if it will not be there in your exams. It must be there. But before you move to pivot, this is now the assignment. This is now the assignment. This is now our assignment. Remember, how can you expand the pivot fields? How can you expand the pivot fields? Let me see. Are you referring to this part here? Are you referring to this part? Yes, Robert. Are you referring to this? Maybe you are, no? Which part? Which part are you saying that we should refer to? Click on the arrow next to pivot fields. Okay, somebody has mentioned. You can also even exclude some here, but this was not my, I think these parts were covered in the other video, so it's just repetition. But make sure that you understand this. Your exams must have pivot table. Whether you like it or not, it must be there. It must be there in your exams. So I was talking about this using this table which we generated, of which I believe you changed the name to final report. Using final report data set or database table, Okay, you will get that in the video. Remember, I'm recording this, so you'll get that in the video. Using that data set, number one, we have conditions. We have now these conditions here. We want you to count. We want you to get the sum. We want you to count. We want you to get the sum. We want you to get the average. We want you to get commission that these sales representatives were paid by using a single formula. By using a single formula. Each sales representative was paid 5%. Each sales representative was paid 5% of the net sales amount. So having been paid 5% of the net sales amount, you are supposed to get the total commission that each of them earned. The total commission that each of them earned. Don't use pivot table. Don't use pivot table. We want you to use purely Excel functions. Purely Excel functions. So ensure that you save that table very well, and I will give you those questions in a PDF document. I will get you those questions clearly stated. It will even take you to summarizing, bringing in the tables, but we want now focus on the Excel formulas. Maybe we want you to get total sales that were made in the month of July, irrespective of the year. Or you want to compare sales that were made in the first quarter of the year for all the four years. Such kind of questions. Which function are you going to use? How are you going to come up with those figures? So I will share with you that PDF document with all those questions. You go through it and you send it to my email. You send it to my email, and the name of that file which you are sharing with me, because the answers must have a formula, you will share with me an Excel file. The title or the name of that file should be your name. To help me now get reference to it easily. The name of that file should be your name. The name of that file should be your name. So you will send it to this email. You will send it to this email. I'll share with you all the questions maybe by tomorrow morning, and also this video. So you do them. I think by the end of this week, next week, Monday, you should be through. Shall have submitted all, and we will now be working on those questions here in class together. So thanks for your time, unless there's a question. Thanks for your time, unless there's a question.